There's something about the Senator Ekweremadu case that people don't seem to get, and we need to talk about it. For those of you who don't already know, Senator Ekweremadu and his wife, along with Dr. Obinna Obeta, has been found guilty of organ trafficking after they planned or arranged a 21-year-old boy by the name of David Upo to travel from Lagos to the UK for the purpose of donating one of his kidneys to the sick daughter of the senator, Senator Ekweremadu, and his wife, Beatrice. When the story first broke out, we all thought, okay, wow, this is serious. Was this a setup? Was this all planned by the boy? Because we were of the opinion that the boy was aware that that was what he was going to the UK to do. It was said that the boy was met by an agent sent by Dr. Obinna, because Dr. Obinna was the one who Senator Ekweremadu gave the contract to find someone in Nigeria who would be a match for his daughter to donate a kidney. Dr. Obinna collected the money, and eventually they were able to sort out and fish out David Ugbo from Enugu down to Lagos, and they were able to process his visa to the UK. But it was said that David was promised he would be paid impressively, and he was going to get a job there, and that his life was going to change after the donation. It was very clear in the papers and in the documents then that that was the purpose David was leaving Lagos to the UK for. And it seemed as though it's something that he would have been aware of. Although, looking back now, it's possible that David may not have known what was in the document. But I would guess if he was going for interview in an embassy, it would have been read to him, or he would have known. However, we got to learn that it was in the hospital in the UK when David was about to undergo a test to see if he was a match or if the operation can be carried out on him, that he realized, or he was told, that this is what he was coming here to do. It was said that another doctor in the hospital was able to translate to David that, okay, this is what is happening in Igbo. And when David realized that that was what he had come to do, it was said he was shocked. And from then on, the case became an issue. Now, remember that when we first heard about the case, we were of the opinion of, okay, was it that this boy did not know all along, or did he plan to go to the UK and act a fool, or act dumb, or act as if, oh, that's not what I came here for, so that he can stay there and get a better life? Was it something that was planned to dupe or disgrace Senator Ekweremadu, because we all thought he knew what he was going there for, even though some people still think that he may have not known? And that has been the question ever since the case blew up, and ever since the senator has been sentenced. A lot of people have been divided. Is this a case of setup? Was Senator Ekweremadu set up and deceived? Or was this boy the one who was on the blind side? But it turns out that what a lot of people don't seem to understand with the Senator Ekweremadu's case is that when it comes to the Modern Day Slavery Act and the organ trafficking and all of those deeds, it's not important whether or not David Upo was aware of the situation. It's not important whether or not he agreed to it. What the law seemed to be hammering on was the fact that the senator took advantage of the fact that this boy was a poor boy who he had no relationship with, and who he planned to not have a relationship with even after he donated the kidney. And I think that is a major thing a lot of people seem to be missing. So whether or not David agreed, whether or not David knew the situation, would not be very important in this case right now, because the fact is David is of a lower status from a very poor home, who had no relationship with Ekweremadu and is not related. And it was even stated that in the hospital, in their documents, the senator lied that David was a cousin to Sonia, their daughter, who he was about to give the kidney to. But that was not the case. So clearly, this was a boy that they picked out from the slums to use as a spare parts machine. And clearly, they used or took advantage of the fact that this was a poverty-stricken boy who needed his life to change. There are many people in Nigeria today who will be willing to sell their kidney just to get a taste of a good life. And if anybody takes advantage of that fact or that situation, it actually is a problem. It turns into some kind of slavery act per se. And that is what many people need to realize, regardless of whether or not David was aware, regardless of whether or not David agreed, regardless of whether or not David knew the situation. But the fact that the status is different and the method in which he was gotten was very predatory and very targeting and very inhumane is the problem. Even though Dr. Obinna did claim in his defense when he was in court that David actually was the one who offered to give it for free. David offered to give it for free, that there was no monetary agreement, that there was no plan to give him anything. In my mind, I feel like that argument or that claim for defense was problematic. So in other words, if something had happened to David in the process of doing this operation, he would have just been disposed, because nobody would worry for him. Nobody will fight the senator for him. They would have probably buried him there in the UK and no one would know anything. And that is a problem, if you ask me. So I think by May, they said they will be sentenced and they tend to face up to 10 years in prison, if not more. But I'm sure since that the senator and is wealthy and has a connection, it might be minimal. I hope so. I don't know what the Nigerian government plans to do for them, but do I think they need to go to jail, him and his wife? Maybe not his wife, but I think the Senator Ekweremadu himself should be the only one to suffer for this because he facilitated all of this. There's a chance that the wife may not have known these things. And even if she did, what should she have done? Report the husband. It's unfortunate that their daughter will be the one to suffer all of this. She might probably lose her life because she still needed a kidney transplant. It's sad that her father had to go through this means. And it's ironic because, the father was said to be working for an organization that fights against this human trafficking thing, only for him to end up being one of the people in the forefront of a case like this. It's just sad and it's just unfortunate. When you look at the case, you could tell that David Ukpo here is indeed the victim. The idea that he knew about the situation and went to the UK and changed his story to put this man in trouble is plausible, but when you look at the advantage here, he's way more at a disadvantage. He's coming from a very horrible poor background, and only God knows what he had been told or promised. And even though he did know or may have had an idea of what he was doing, there was no guarantee afterwards, which means there wasn't any paper signed. There wasn't any legal document signed. Like, okay, I will give you my kidney and you give me this so amount of money. Which meant that even after taking his kidney, they could dispose of him. They could throw him away. And there probably might be nothing he would do. The senator had a lot of resources and power to get this kidney donation for his daughter in the most legal way possible. But for him to go through this means shows he's abusing his power, and he's just taking advantage of the fact that he could just pick up any poor person from the streets and use them as a spare part to save his daughter, whose life is way more important than David Ukpo's life, because that is the way. The court was very angry at the fact that he did not even plan to have a personal relationship with this boy. He probably never met this boy in person. He didn't even see the human being that is giving his daughter a kidney. He never cared to even see him or shook hands with him and be like, oh, hi, I'm Dr. Senator Ekweremadu. This is Sonia. This is what is happening. He never met this entire family. He just went from the UK straight to the hospital and they wanted to take what they wanted to take. And when you look at that ideology and that picture alone, it tells you that David here was the victim. He was being taken advantage of. He's not educated. He does not have the capability or the advantage or the hands that these people had to probably face this thing on a level playing field. He did not. And I don't feel bad for the senator to go to jail. I wished his wife would not have gone, even though she, being aware, is just as guilty. I would have loved for her to probably be around to look after their daughter. It's just unfortunate that the both of them would have to suffer this. It's very unfortunate. But I'm sure as rich as they have the financial capability to maybe put people in place to look after their child for them after they go. And I guess this shows something. The lesson here is that nobody's above the law. The UK has come to show us that nobody is above the law. Because we know if this was in Nigeria that they did this, they would have gotten away with it. If this situation had happened in Nigeria, and it happens more often than not, a lot of us don't tend to see this. We hear of people getting organ trafficked. We hear of people waking up in the hospital and not seeing their organs. We hear of people having operation done on them and not knowing what was done. People getting kidnapped and their body parts taken. These things happen more often than not, and people get away with it. Poor people are met for the purpose of, burying children, spare parts, taking things from their body to make the rich and powerful stay more alive. And it's a problem. Just because somebody is poor and they agreed to that condition or that situation does not make it okay. Does not make it legal. It's still a form of modern day slavery. It's still a form of organ trafficking. And it's just unfortunate. It's sad. I don't know how else he would have avoided it. Maybe if he had met the boy in person and had a discussion and showed or welcomed the boy into his family, probably make him meet his daughter and let him know that, okay, this is what you're doing. Do you agree? Do you see it? Are you doing this for charity? But he never did any of this. He never probably met the senator or the daughter or the wife. He never did. From the streets of Lagos all the way to the hospital bed in the UK. That is where the problem is. It's not clear what would happen to him. It's not clear if he would come back to Nigeria. But I'm hoping for the purpose of his safety, he remains in the UK And since the UK government want to take the matter up on their head, I hope they do provide a way or a life or a better situation for the young man there in the UK. His story has changed. He gets to keep his kidney and he gets to live in one of the better economical country out there. Hopefully life is good for him there. Hopefully he gets an education. Hopefully he just moves on from this. And let Senator Ekweremadu, his Obina doctor friend, and let his wife deal with whatever situation they have. They have the money to deal with it. Let them deal with it. That's nothing to do with him. But many people are still of the opinion that David Ukpo knew the situation and this was all a setup for Senator Ekweremadu. Some people say he does not deserve to go to jail. After all, nothing was done to the boy. He did not get the kidney removed. So no crime was committed per se. So I want to hear your thoughts on this. Do you guys think Senator Ekweremadu should remain in prison and in jail? Or do you think he should not have gone to jail? Just let me know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts about the situation. Do you think it's all a setup? Or do you think the senator was planning on pretty much disposing this boy after using him for the benefit of his daughter? Let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. When you subscribe, please turn on notification button so should there be any future updates, you'll be the first to get notified. Thank you.